Quentin Brogdon joins us now to take a look at some of the legal stories making headlines in our weekly segment here. Quentin, welcome back in. Thanks for being with me.
Good morning, JT. How are you?
Pretty good. We were just talking about this whole Gabby Petito case, and Brian Laundrie still on the run. I guess he went missing, September 14th. And based on his actions, clearly this indicates to me that, this guy's guilty as can be here. So, first of all, your thoughts on Brian Laundrie first, and then we'll talk about his family here, on his guilt or innocence. What do you think based on what he's done so far and staying in the hiding?
Well, if I were prosecuting him, I would certainly argue that many of his actions are not consistent with the actions of someone who's innocent and concerned about my fiance or his fiance being missing. He comes back in her van without her September 1st. Neither he nor his family report her missing. It is her mother who reports her missing 11 days later when her mother cannot reach her after repeated attempts. So certainly and now he's on, he hasn't come forward. He's out. He was last seen, according to his parents, going into a nature preserve near their home in Florida on September 14th. And in spite of pleas from his sister and others to come forward and say what he knows, he's gone. So, fleeing can be some evidence of guilt. Jurors in many jurisdictions are allowed to consider that, and he has fled, the scene literally and figuratively here. So It certainly looks suspicious.
Well, as you know, we never know what a jury is going to come back with once the trial begins and they go into deliberation. Juries have surprised defense attorneys time and time again. So as a defense attorney, let's put the other hat on, Quentin. What are you telling your client if he's in touch with you? Because he did lawyer up. Do you think his attorney knows where he is? And would his attorney be obligated to report to authorities, hey, I just talked to him, here's where he is? Or is it client, attorney privilege to be quiet?
Well, I would be advocating, if I were his attorney and I were in touch with him, I would be advocating coming forward. He's not helping himself by continuing to be on the lam. There's different levels of cooperation here. One is coming forward, and then the other is we all have the right under the Fifth Amendment to not incriminate ourselves. So to turn yourself in doesn't necessarily mean that you have to answer any and all questions asked of you by the police, but to continue to be on the lam when there's, he's a person of interest. They have charged him not with her murder, but with debit card fraud. Right. Which is sometimes what they do when they don't have, even though they may suspect someone of a higher crime, they charge them with a lesser one that they know they can prove just to try to get them in the door. So I would certainly be advocating for him coming in. I would not say, continue to stay on the lam if I were his at all.
Is a defense attorney obligated to call the police and report a conversation he had with this, let's say Brian's attorney talked to him last night? Is that attorney obligated under law to make contact with the authorities?
Well, every state has different attorney-client privilege rules. If you know your client, in most jurisdictions, if you know your client has committed a crime, there's imminently going to be committing a crime, then you can have a duty to come forward in some circumstances to prevent that, safeguard, human life, for instance.
Right.
So it depends. It's very rarely, a black and white issue. But, yes, you certainly can have duties. It's not a matter of, no matter what your client says to you, that you can sit on that no matter what as a criminal defense attorney.
Well, there is no murder warrant out on him. It's like you said, the fraud case right now. So he's just a person of interest in Gabby Petito's murder and disappearance. So, well, they're still looking, and no word yet as of right now, even what state he's in. So let's move forward, talk about this crazy story here. Man of Steel, record-shattering shoplifting, 46 arrests in New York. What's going on here?
Well, to call this man a one-man crime wave doesn't do it justice. I think you referred to, he's been referred to in the media, the Man of Steel, S-T-E-A-L. He has a long rap sheet, over 70 crimes. He was arrested 57 times, according to the reporting, in 2021 alone. Most of that is shoplifting. He's alleged to have hit Walgreens over 30 times, and he also apparently likes Targets and CVS's. And the claim is he's stolen things such as protein drinks, body lotion, baby formula, even sexy lingerie. And when you hear that kind of lineup of goods, that typically indicates somebody is taking these types of items to resell them either on the internet or somewhere else. But
or he likes wearing lingerie.
Yeah, or he likes wearing lingerie.
But let's talk about the judge in any of these arrests where this guy has to appear before the court. Over 50 arrests. At what point does the judge go, you know what, you're just not getting this. You're going to jail for 10 years.
Well, he's in custody now, so I think many of your listeners will be happy to hear that, given these facts. Yeah. And all of his, most of his crimes are alleged to have been nonviolent. And so if you shoplift in many jurisdictions, small amounts, small valued items, add them up, they don't exceed a certain amount. In many jurisdictions, you're actually given a ticket and released. You don't even appear before the judge until and unless you come back and honor what the ticket says you promised to do, like a speeding ticket.
Quentin, I get that. I mean, you steal a pack of gum, you're not going to do 5 years in prison, but 50 arrests, seriously? Aren't there laws that if you exceed, I mean, according to some states, felony, 3 strikes you're out, but misdemeanors, even 50 of them. Isn't there a point where enough's enough?
Certainly. I think that we've reached that point. If even half of this is true, we've reached and exceeded that point, and clearly something is not working in New York City where this is all occurring. And if I were either a police officer or a prosecutor, and I used to be a criminal prosecutor, or I ran, a Walgreens. I was a manager of a Walgreens or a Target, and I saw the same guy repeatedly hitting my establishment, or I'm the police officer repeatedly arresting somebody for the same or similar crime, I'm very, very frustrated. To call it a revolving door would not do it justice.
All right, let's talk about this one really quick here. This black woman posing as a Ku Klux Klan member and then leaving terroristic threats in neighbors' mailboxes. Will she do time on this one? I mean, this is clearly trying to paint a picture of racism by this woman.
Well, if she's found guilty or pleads guilty, absolutely she should do time and probably will. 8 counts of terroristic threats, and they were pretty serious threats, threats to kill families and hang people and kill children and set houses on fire. So in every jurisdiction I've ever seen, when you make those kinds of threats, you are going to almost certainly do some jail time.
Yeah, not to mention spreading racism falsely. Just those kind of stories. I would throw the book at this lady for doing this and trying to stir things up that aren't true. All right, Quentin, always good to check in with you. Thank you, buddy.